All right, let me make sure we're all live here and everything. Okay, let me close this door. All right, anyway, we are talking about the game tonight, Arizona Cardinals and Seattle Seahawks. My parents are visiting and everything, so I'm gonna be at a dinner tonight. So I'll at least update my lineups and stuff when we get inactives and everything. But I'm not gonna be able to go live with Sheets and Bobby today. There are a couple things I want to at least talk through and stuff. Since I've been talking to all the showdown slates and stuff, and I like the situations that Bateman and Mark Andrews did last slate on the Monday night game are situations that I'm trying to target in every game. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Okay, I'm evaluating my own approaches of how I'm doing, my 150 stuff, which has been pretty successful, but still, ran into my, this is not really trial by fire, but I'm experimenting, through everything. One thing I wanted to note was when I look back at my slate personally, obviously, played just a ton of, Andrews. I had like 33% of him in the captain alone, plus Bateman and everything. But I personally felt like this was the first slate this year that I really spread out captains. And what I mean by that is, typically I'm playing 2 or 3. I did 5 on that slate. I did Brown, Williams, Andrews, Bateman, and Flowers. And I just feel like, personally for me, whenever I'm spreading stuff out like that, I'm just missing on situations to where I'm playing 150 to make up for the fact I'm not doing single entry, and I'm really disappointed that I had so many Andrew lineups that were just a 1v1, mainly from Henry to Brown, or just like small 1v1s and stuff. And I'm really disappointed I didn't land on the Andrews optimal lineup, because that's usually when I'm able to do it. And so from a personal aspect, I'm probably gonna just stick to just doing 2 to 3 captains, and then just playing with whatever or not playing, but dealing with whatever ends up happening and stuff. And so when we're looking at a slate like this today, let me go ahead and let's go ahead and add this, and we'll look through and kind of walk through what is it? The preview for the slate and everything yet again. So let's go ahead and look through. Obviously, 150. Actually, I do want to make another note. And by sheer will of luck alone, I did end up finishing second on the whatever DraftKings showdown bullshit leaderboard they had. I'm actually really, really proud about that. So I did actually end up getting a 444 ticket for Sunday. So that'll be the only thing I actually care about on Sunday. So literally every time every week I'm like, man, this is the last one I'm playing the stupid classic slate. They literally pull me back in and stuff. So let me go ahead and pull all of this stuff. So I can go to SaberSim and get all this stuff started here. We're probably going to be here for, 30 minutes or so. I'm probably going to do – so secondly, I like playing the 33 when it's a slate that I feel like that's going to be high scoring, and I have the ability to potentially hit the captain, which was why I played the 33 on Monday. However, I just don't – that's a very expensive contest to 150. And so outside of certain games this year, I'm not going to be in the 33 ones. That that's taking like fucking $5,000. I'm throwing shit into that one each week. Anyway, so I was mainly just going to update that. I'll probably end up playing whatever additional $5 and probably the main, if there's another 20 or 15 shows up and stuff too. Now, when we look at this slate here, obviously, now I end up, I like the Cardinals, but I'm at this point, thank God Larry Fitzgerald doesn't play anymore. So I have like no bias towards this team at all. I just, I can actually play DFS here and not be pretty biased. The only two things to note, and obviously, this is recording this at noon. Charbonnet should end up playing. Let me make sure that all this is rocking and rolling here. Cool. I think Charbonnet should end up playing. I think he's projected to play. I mean, obviously, we'll see here. So if Charbonnet and Walker are both playing, it kind of makes Walker kind of not viable in any form just because he's 10K. I do want to say that there's quite a lot of value from well, not even just from the Cardinals, but there's quite a lot of value on this slate. Okay, so obviously Connor did something. I don't know. Apparently he's injured. I don't know. I don't watch these games. I have no clue what happened to James Conner. I guess he had his leg amputated or whatever. So we have the running backs from Arizona, if we can go ahead and look here. Sorry. And, I mean, this is the first time I'm looking at the slate today. So I apologize if maybe you've already seen like 2 dozen other shows and they're like, already talked about this stuff. I haven't looked through it yet. But the fact that you have Trey and Amari both going to be in play, I would imagine that in a situation like this, especially when you lose your star running back, this should be anywhere from a 50-50 to a 60-40. I mean, even like a 70-30 split. The fact that Wilson is 34, or not Wilson, Amari is 38, leaves him in play. Wilson's at 34. He leaves, he's in play. When we look at, the amount of volume that Connor was doing, I would have to envision that this is going to open up probably a more, or at least more of a necessity to pass from Arizona's perspective. Now, yet again, it worked. Now I played Andrews, whatever, all the showdown slates that he was in this year. It's worked out one time that he was the highest scoring guy. I'm not just saying this because it worked out on Monday, but Marvin Harrison Jr. has been pretty terrible. And I would argue that Trey Bryant has been pretty terrible based on just where we've ended up being at and stuff. I know obviously he's projected high and stuff, Trey and Harrison and stuff, but I think this is a slate to where you are just, with the two backfields in this slate, I think it makes the running backs unplayable from a captain perspective. Okay. Obviously we're not playing quarterbacks here. And so when we're looking at the pass catchers who are probably going to be the best captains today from a build perspective is obviously JSN, Trey McBride, and Marvin Harrison Jr. Like those will probably be the 3 guys that I just used today. As stated, Harrison has been pretty bad this year. I think he got the first touchdown, or he got a touchdown in week 1, but he hasn't been doing that well. The Arizona offense has not been running a lot of wide receivers either. So there's a lot of uncertainty for these guys down here. Obviously, we got to wait for inactives and stuff. But Wilson and Greg Dortch should be in play. Now, yet again, this is coming from me with the amount of lines that I'm playing. But I would not be shocked to end up, and I probably will. I'm not going to go out of my way to, but I'm probably going to end up having somewhere in the lines of like probably 18% Wilson and probably like 15% Greg Dortch, just because you are, typically on a slate, the 3K and 2K values are usually pretty bad, or ownership is concentrating on one of them or whatever, similar to whatever happened to Tesla on the slate on Monday. Not saying, no, granted, he didn't catch anything, okay, but on paper, good play typically, like obviously, like whatever, right? But there's a lot of people in play today in the value range. We also have, I believe there's a tight end or something on Seattle or something who's pretty cheap. I don't remember. Long story short, I'm very, very down to pretty much playing any of the cheap values. Now, yet again, it's coming from my perspective, just playing the amount of lines we're in. But I noticed we have a lot of guys, in the salary range that are actually projected for catches. It might be Elijah. I don't remember who. I think it is Elijah. for Seattle projected catches here. Where are we at here? I was listening to a show earlier, and they were kind of yapping about somebody down here. I don't remember. Anyway, honestly, it's not that important because he's either going to do something or he's not. But the fact that that they're viable, that there's a lot of viable plays down there. I like slates like that, and also with the fact that Walker's unplayable. There's probably going to be a lot of people playing Murray as captain and stuff. I would even kind of be concerned about the JSM captain ownership because you can very easily fit him in. But I also want to add that I'm pretty much, I don't know why Kyler Murray is that low. That's very interesting. Typically he's a bit higher. Whatever. Yeah, JSM, Trey, and Harrison are probably going to be my captains in this slate. This seems like one of those to where the scoring on both sides should be pretty condensed. JSN has a huge target share, and the Cardinals are literally just going to have to do anything to try and survive this game. Ideally, playing from behind, and that's why I'm focused on the pass catchers from Arizona and stuff. I want to go ahead and see what ends up kind of populating here. If we do this early. Zay Jones is out as well for the Cardinals. So obviously that opens up, Greg and whoever the heck the other moron we were talking about was. No. Okay, cool. Damn it. Let me do that. Actually, well, you know what? Let's go ahead and run everything the way it is before we adjust and just kind of see what lineups are popping up here really quick. Just get an idea of kind of what the field is going to do. The field is specifically with players. That's why I typically really like playing guys who have not done a single thing, because the ownership is usually pretty low because people have such a low. You have to have like no memory at all. If some clown burns you, if one of these moron players like just burns you or doesn't do anything, you just have to forget that. You're gonna absolutely drive yourself bonkers if you are concerned about anything like that. We look at the projected scores for these lineups. We got Benson. That's the other major captain people are probably playing. But we see a lot of the early, at least highly projected stuff. Oddly enough, we're not having a lot of Kyler Murray. I just figured he would be up here at some of the higher projected ones, but I guess not. Does that mean I want to play Kyler Murray? Hell no, I don't play quarterbacks and captain. But it's interesting we're not seeing any. But I just don't really like relying on running backs. So I don't think we need to worry about that too much, actually. All right, so let's go ahead and rerun it here. Yet again, I mean, my stuff for NFL is pretty basic now. I really don't do much. I just kind of wait for inactives to come out and then just make sure I don't have anybody who's not playing in my lineups. But why are we not? Why's none of this working here, dog? Come on, Trey, get on there. Let's go, dude. There we go. I will say, because I was doing so many lines on Monday, I was concerned about, especially at the end. So I lose the optimal lineup at the very end. First off, throughout that stupid game, I had the optimal lineup at the end of halftime and at the end of the third quarter. And then as soon as Henry fumbled, he was so emotionally destroyed, and the Ravens just fell apart, right? But when I lost, I immediately was really, really, really concerned that I had locked myself out of playing the optimal lineup. As I said, the 1v1 was between Henry and Brown. And, when I went to check the optimal lineup, I went to check the salary. And luckily, I did not lock myself out of potentially having that because it didn't take the full salary. But I did not like how that felt, thinking that I had potentially did end up missing on an optimal lineup, especially with that low of a captain. So maybe I would be far more concerned with leaving salary on the table if I was doing more traditional captains. But just due to the fucking worry that I had on Monday, I actually really did not like sitting there thinking I had like just not played the winning lineup based on salary restrictions. So I'm actually no longer worried about using all of the salary. Let me go and see if there's anybody here leaving questions or anything. I do apologize for taking so long to check this. Oops. What's going on, Andy? MD, yeah, don't waste your time playing Kick Your Dog. Let's see. Yeah, Andrew. I mean, here, I can even. Well, it might be a bit of a way down. This was the main thing. What was it called? The bootleg. What is it called, man? What is it called, man? What is it called? Right, this one. Yeah, it was this one. Yeah, this was the main issue. So like clearly, I mean, this is what really pissed me off about spreading my captains out. Right, ran 100. Obviously doing 100 lines or whatever. But I just feel like if I had less. But now, yet again, personally for me, I like playing pretty aggressive. But I really wasted. I think I wasted a lot of entries having captains that were just not. That were just kind of dead lineups. Now, yet again, that's either going to happen or happen. Maybe next time my data will be like, oh, you want to play Williams and he fucking busts or whatever. But like, I had a ton of lineups. I mean, we're okay. Oh, I played Sam Laporta too, so maybe I had 6 or whatever. But I go down and just look at so many dead lineups. These are all payment lineups and stuff. I guess we gotta go way down here, like Williams, like. So many lineups, Sam Laporta, so many lineups just pissing money away just right at the start. In the situation where it's like, I really liked Andrews and Bateman, and this was the first time this year I was like, no, you know what, I'll spread the captains out a little bit, and I blame that in my approach of why I did not have the optimal in there. So we're back doing like 3 and 2 and stuff. I actually, obviously McBride looks great and stuff, but I actually really liked Harrison today. And I will probably absolutely go in once we get inactives and stuff and make sure that I probably have the most of Harrison. And probably go and most in a sense of like, maybe like 38% Harrison and then 31% J. SM, and then the rest, or somewhere along those lines with Trey McBride. I think that's probably where I will end up going. What I am curious on this first run is kind of where these wait a minute. Got to run the Sims. Hold on. Got to run the Sims first. Did we ran them? Hell yeah. Okay, so where does this fall on a baseline here? Where are we at here? So it's JSM over Harrison Bride. We're going to leave it like this just because I'm going to upload these filler lines in case I get killed by a car or whatever. Hopefully my family can take the winnings. But I will probably flip Harrison later. But what I'm curious over here is where the hell is Sam Darnold? What is going on here? Why do we just have... No, it's 211 lineups. That's really interesting that we were so low on Sam Darnold. Okay, word duplications is off. So what I really don't. Okay, so I don't like this right off the bat. Why are we so? Oh, it's because I have so much JSM. That's actually why. Because so my main typically I want whatever quarterback I like the most. Bam! I want 78, 80%, right? And Kyler's at 51. So I'm like, what's going on here? I also see Darnold at 30. I'm like, why is this messed up? But it's because JSM is so expensive. And I'll probably flip pretty significantly. So let's just go ahead and look at that really fast here. Just for this, or is it 28? Usually I would just rebuild lineups, but yet again, this is just placeholders and stuff, so I'm not really concerned about it. But I want that Darnold number way higher I want the Kyle Murray percentage way higher and stuff normally. And yet again, I have this is just how I would end up. This is, or not how I end up, but it's just a bigger way of how I would play single entry. Okay, so like this Kenneth Walker stuff is Charbonnet. This guy out, like why? What's going on here, dog? What's going on here, big boys? Why is Walker so high? It's gonna get rolled out. 32-43. Okay, I don't like that at all. That's I don't like that at all. I can tell you right now, we're gonna be doing a lot of crap on this slate because I don't like Kenneth Walker at all. Now, normally, this would be seen as a huge leverage play, right? And it is. Look, if you're doing single entry tonight, probably want to play Kenneth Walker, right? Virtually no ownership. You get unique lineups like by default single entry, probably playing Kenneth Walker. If you're doing 5 lineups, probably Kenneth Walker in 2 of them. Take advantage of the field. Go over the field on it. When I have a portfolio this big, that 43 is crazy. I don't want that at all. That I want to be I actually want to be under the field on Kenneth Walker if I have this many lines. I'll worry about that later. But I really, really, really don't like how much Kenneth Walker this has early. And the reason I'm talking you through that, and the reason I'm going through this is other people who are using SaberSim, maybe they're building lineups that are similar, or they just trust SaberSim, whatever. Like, I don't know baseball, right? You can, and obviously this one, just started, whatever, right? But like, don't know baseball. I just use SaberSim in our stuff, and I can finish pretty decently on stuff. Also, shout out, still lost $100 on that one. But like, I have no clue what I'm doing in baseball, right? I just trust my stacks and trust the sims. There could be some people who do the same thing here. They don't change anything, and I'm feeling that a lot of sims and sites will, or at least tools and stuff, is probably going to want you to have more Kenneth Walker than what's projected is going to be owned in the field, just because that's leverage 101, right? I think that's kind of a bad leverage in this case. But going through and paying attention of why you potentially might be getting more Kenneth Walker, or at least be aware of why the tools might be showing that is important. Now, what the really important thing is what is going on over here. So we got 8% Xavier. Now, yet again, this might be a bit more extreme because we're playing, or at least in the group right now, there's so much Kenneth Walker in there at 10K. So it's probably going to be inclined to use a lot more cheap guys here. But I mean, this is a shitload of cheap guys, right? Like 5% of Travis. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce that. And then Greg Dorick is only at 5. What interesting. Obviously, this will get cleared up when inactives come through. But if this is what is being shown, just kind of off the bat, very interesting. So Kenneth Walker, I would probably imagine, comes in higher owned than probably what is projected, and I just think those are actually deadlines. Because if you're playing Kenneth Walker today, you probably got to play him as if Kenneth Walker does well at his price tag, okay, that means everybody's like, a lot of people in the price ranges are going under their projections and stuff. So if Kenneth Walker is so good and the Sims like him so much, I would, just speaking out loud, I'm not going to play him here. But if you're going to play Kenneth Walker, I think you play Kenneth Walker in the captain. Even extend your leverage on the field and hope that he has one of those big games. I'm not going to do that. And that's a reason why I'm not a big fan of this exposure. This whole rant is why I'm not agreeing with the 43% Kenneth Walker. I want more Kyler Murray, more Sam Darnold for these reasons and stuff like that. Let me see if there's any other comments here. What are your thoughts on Coop in the flex spot? Perfectly fine. I don't know. I mean, obviously this is early. I'm fine. I don't have an opinion one way or the other. I don't know. Most of the time, I usually end up playing most people at like 20 to 30% anyway. I would imagine Cooper Kupp is probably going to be there, especially since I'm going to be so under the running backs from Seattle, I'm probably naturally going to get like 25% Cooper Kupp later today. But I will go ahead and save this just so I can upload this and have something in there, so we're not just chilling and doing absolutely freaking nothing. I do believe. I think that's everything. As I said, I like JSM, I like Trey, and I like it's good Doink, and I like I really like Harrison today. So probably my night's gonna be guaranteed on whatever Harrison ends up doing. I don't believe we have any other comments. Let me check and make sure. I think we're good there. No problem there. Thank you for being here, Andy. Thank you for being here, Randy. Any other names right with that? Doesn't seem like that. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for being here. My stuff will be on Stake Kings later, and then Bobby and Sheets are doing their MLB show and a NFL Showdown show tonight. And hopefully I'll be there on Monday. I don't see why I wouldn't. Also, I have all the Xfinity stuff I got to do, or Kansas stuff I got to do. So I'll see you tomorrow for Kansas and stuff like that. So I'll see you guys later. Thank you for being here, and hopefully it helps you. Bye-bye.